Hello, welcome to our session, How to Shake Off Student Disengagement, a Swift Approach to Boosting Engagement in the Classroom. So obviously you already know this is a video. We're going to keep our video pretty brief in order to allow you to explore and share within the community of people who are watching the video asynchronously. So we'll keep our video short, then you'll have a chance to share, but you will need this bit.ly link. You can pause the video if you need to get it.
All right, once you get the end of it, you do have an opportunity to get some free resources. So stay to the end and figure out how.
All right, so I am Kristen Cox. I'm an 8th grade science teacher, and we teach for Wake County Public Schools. This is my 6th year teaching science.
And my name is Callie Kramer, currently a reading coach and avid teacher, and I'm going into my 9th year. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we would love it. Our handles are on the bottom.
So the reason why we put together this presentation is that we are very passionate about student engagement, but we want to increase student engagement beyond just our classroom. When we were looking to do a presentation, we saw that there's very high levels of engagement and improved attendance and achievement, but it's very rarely that there is an emphasis on it in a school setting or professional learning opportunity.
Yeah, and then going into this coaching role, I noticed that student success was literally linked to the amount of engagement. And honestly, our teachers, we don't have a toolbox for engagement. So that is what has inspired Kristen and I to collab together and literally create a toolbox for you. So in order to emphasize our community of educators that are watching our presentation today and kind of get our brain dumps out there, we've created this Padlet link. So go ahead and click the link in this slide. It'll take you and you'll see all of the topics that we're going to discuss today. So as we go through, if you see anything, you're like, wow, I have an idea for this, we would love to hear your ideas. Just pop it in there. Or if you've used it before and it's been successful, or even if it hasn't, we would just love to hear everything.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start looking at some of our tools that we use for student engagement. And one of my favorite strategies is gamified learning. It can be really simple of taking a worksheet and making it be a game. One thing I did was Risk, where they could either take the points they earned or Risk to either gain or lose points. They love that type of stuff, and it keeps them engaged in doing the questions. And then you could do things that are a little bit more complex, like grudge ball, breakouts. There are a lot of different things linked here for you to explore when you have that chance asynchronously. And then you can also go ahead and add anything that you already do to the Padlet. But one example that's really simple that I wanted to show you is dice. Dice are a fantastic instructional tool that you can have in your class, and you can do it simple as roll a word. So give them a vocabulary word, and you're able to have them do something with the word as a pair, get them talking about that. And then there are lots of other ways that you can use dice very simply, and it doesn't really take a lot of effort, but the students love it.
And on the note of being competitive, some ways that we like to bring that creativity and community into the classroom is through things like class jobs or assignments. So when I look at this is a picture of my board on the left, you'll see class jobs, literally so old school, just list them on the board. We pick cards and the student volunteers for that job. So you can see some jobs listed there. I kind of combined Kristen's and I, so you'll see some for science there, a safety manager. Paper managers, errand manager, you got someone on the tech, the lights, even receptionists, you can answer the phone. They get trained to do that. And then I'm going to talk more about point manager in a second. That's my favorite. And then also, if you look on the right side of that screen, rainbow readers on my next slide as well. So basically, rainbow readers is when you assign a student a color of the rainbow, and then every time that that dot or the color of the font is that color, they're responsible for reading. And I've seen great success through this because they're engaged, waiting for their color to pop up. So here's an example where we used it last with our lesson targets. Obviously, yellow, orange, and green were prepared, they read. Just getting the students engaged in reading our slides is just so powerful. So my favorite job is the point manager, and the point manager is responsible for docking our points, right? So basically, whenever a student in the classroom gets a point, so how do they get points? Well, on the left, this is what I award points for, but obviously you can modify them for your own class and age and everything. So they answer hard questions. Maybe they volunteer to read Shakespeare out loud. Point. Maybe they're showing leadership qualities, or I see them doing something kind, right? I'm the queen of points. I'm going to award you points. You can't ask for points, but I will give them when you earn them. And basically, it's a competition. It could be tables, pairs, whatever works for you. I like pairs because they're kind of like a little baby team and they work better together. They pull more weight that way, and what I've seen. But basically, at the end of the week, whoever has the most points gets a little prize, and they work for prizes.
All right, so with student engagement, you do have to think about social emotional learning too. So one of our ways that we do this is with inclusion activities. At the beginning of the class, always have an inclusion activity to kind of help set that precedent that students can be engaged. It can be as simple as which Taylor Swift mood are you today? Students are able then to share, and that way that they can already kind of feel like that they're comfortable in class, they're supported, they're able to find a way to connect without it being a question of being right or wrong. So there's lots of inclusion activities linked. The other thing is reflections, having students reflect. It helps them take ownership and feel more empowered to succeed. So it could be at the end of a project, having them reflect, what do they do well? What is something they're proud of? And then how could they improve in the future? It kind of goes along with goal setting as well.
So something else that's really important for student engagement is building their confidence within academic discourse. So I mean, with middle school, some of the most struggles we see is with conversation. So how do we build the confidence in them, but also teach them to utilize those academic words? So some things I've done in the past that have been successful is utilizing the word wall, right? We put the words up there, but how are we using them? So on the bottom left, you'll see an example from a math class that I was in. The directions were to turn and discuss with a partner. What are the steps that you took to solve this problem? Well, in that conversation, they should be using the words from the word wall. Another moment to give them a point in the middle of class, if you're using a point system, is that moment when they use those word wall words. Really want to highlight the success with that. Another in a larger setting, like in ELA classrooms in 8th grade, we do Socratic seminars. So I actually teamed up with Kristen this year and we brought it into a science classroom, and she actually modified that bingo sheet that you'll have access to on this slide. And basically it's just sentence starters that help them, like, what do I say when I'm in the conversation, right? So they play bingo. It's super fun, super competitive, and they really got better at conversing and using those academic language.
All right, so another thing that really helps students be engaged and have ownership of their learning is have a voice and choice. And the reflections actually help them have a voice if you're reading them and giving them that voice too. But another thing that can help is choice boards for a project, letting them choose and kind of line up to what's best for their learning style. It helps them also take ownership of that they chose to do that part of the project, so they'll be more engaged in it. So there are many linked here for you to explore. And then my favorite, and the way that I feel like that I do the best of engaging my students, is keeping it student-centered, and really acting as the facilitator, involving them in their learning, making it active learning. So I always want to make it be that they are the ones who are doing most of the work. They are the ones who are exploring. They're the ones who are able to ask questions and kind of instruct that more meaning for them, and they're able to make those connections instead of telling them. So there are some suggestions there of how to take something you already do, if it's not active learning, and make it be more student-centered. And then there's two examples here. The ask answer trade is something that I like to do at the beginning of the year with just simple would you rather questions. You give the students a question. Each student has a different question. They go pair with someone else. They both answer the question, trade, then go to someone else for a set amount of time. Then throughout the year, able to build on it and use it for review questions. You can have the students answer the questions without getting the answer, and then they're able to kind of check each other and discuss what's right, what's wrong. I've also done it with vocabulary, giving them an index card. They have different words. They're able to then write the definition, picture independently. Then they quiz each other by going to somebody, and then it continues for 5 to 7 minutes usually. It's a great way to just engage them briefly on something, and they kind of have fun with the movement part of it too. And then hexagonal thinking is another great learning, student-centered. So here's an example, and you're able to click on this yourself and get your own copy. This is an example in a social studies class. It's usually important to like tell the students that they don't have to connect all the words, but you want to pick a word that you can have usually 4 connections to at least to start with. So if you're starting here, and then the important part is having students explain why they're connected. Why did they place them connected? Why do they think those are connected? And then you'll see the different thinking that the students have. So if you want to explore it yourself, this slide just has it's all about student engagement and classroom management. If you want to try to connect them yourself so that you can take that on before you are able to do it with students, or you can edit this for your own use. You just take a hexagon, drag it in. So you want to think of something that can connect to at least 4 things to start off. And then you're able to see. You can have students write their thinking out, their connections, or you can have them explain it out loud, do a gallery walk, something where they're all able to share their own thinking. It's a great activity.
All right, we've reached the end of our little quick presentation. I want to give you time to explore and also time to let us know what are some strategies you're thinking about using, what did you like, what have you used. Don't forget to share with us on the Padlet. The link is also on this slide again in the little pink figure. And then also free resources, as we promised. So click the Google form link and let us know if you'd like some. Thank you.